Hi, my name is Adinawa Adjagbodjou, and I'll be presenting this work on behalf of myself and my co-author, Geoff Kaufman, entitled Envisioning Support-Centered Technologies for Language Practice and Use, Needs and Design Opportunities for Immigrant English Language Learners. In second language contexts like the United States, language learners are faced with the challenge of needing to use the dominant language while simultaneously trying to learn it. As their language skills are a necessity for everyday life, their ability to improve their skills can directly affect their ability to have agency and independence, build social networks and intimacy, and access economic resources. Despite the urgency of these challenges, however, immigrant English language learners can still face difficulties accessing formal and institutional programs which can be inaccessible to them, and can often find themselves utilizing informal language building resources which often do not have the same scaffolding that formal language programs do. However, the informal language space is scarcely researched, and particularly in the HCI domain. This gap in the research has motivated our research questions, which have led to this study's contributions to the HCI field. First, we ask, what tools, platforms, and networks do immigrant English language learners use for support in their daily lives? What affective needs are addressed well by these tools and which are not? And what role do environmental and situational factors play in influencing their comfort and confidence? And finally, in what ways can these support tools be designed to better provide English language learners with greater confidence, agency, and empowerment? To answer these questions, we follow the following methodology approach. We conduct a qualitative interview study using semi-structured interview questions in order to gain in-depth understanding of the informal language context. We then analyze our findings using a deductive coding analysis before presenting our emergent themes. Our interview study included 16 adult participants in the local area who participated in 45-minute interviews and completed a 15-minute survey. We asked participants the following questions. We wanted to understand their English use and goals, the situations in which they use their language skills, and the support tools they use in these situations. We also wanted to understand their positive and negative experiences using their language skills, and the components that were present in situations in which the experiences were positive or negative. And finally, we wanted to gauge the features, tools, and support that English language learners envisioned having access to. Here is what our findings revealed. We organized our findings in terms of the obstacles English language learners encounter in informal second language communication, the support tools they utilize and their limitations, and the features of positive experiences. Our findings revealed that language learners face linguistic challenges, negative affect, and were influenced by environmental challenges. Participants expressed facing challenges relating directly to navigating their understanding of their new language, such as having limited control of the conversation and having difficulty understanding the context of the language use. In this quote, a participant describes their difficulty distinguishing between two English words that sound the same but mean different things, as well as difficulties in response and reciprocation. In this case, a participant conveys their ability to write down their thoughts, but when speaking opportunities arise, having challenges in being able to communicate themselves. Participants also convey that negative affects and emotions were a major obstacle they navigated, from negative self-perceptions, which this participant describes as shame of being an adult and not being able to communicate, to fear and frustration of not being understood, as well as internal and societal expectations of proficiency, and feeling confined by limited emotional expressiveness. Participants also revealed sentiments of social comparison to their peers and dwelling on negative interactions after the interaction had occurred. In this case, a participant reveals that after an interaction had happened, they found themselves often wondering if they had said the correct sentence. Finally, language learners face the obstacle of navigating environmental challenges and modes of communication that were unsupportive. Having limited input and interaction modality made communications even more challenging. In stressful and fast-paced environments such as the one that P15 describes here, convey the importance of the backdrop in which the interaction is happening. In this case, participant 15 describes not requesting the additional change they were owed because they felt that it would produce too much stress and it was not worth it. Furthermore, having uncooperative communication partners and restricted modes of communication can compound the difficulties that language learners face in informal spaces. And as we see with the participant 15, this can lead to tangible and material consequences on the language learners' lives. We also gained insight into the variety of support tools that language learners use across different contexts. The first was instructional support tools. Second, interconversational support tools. Third, habitual support tools. Fourth, anticipatory support tools. And finally, reflective support tools. The first of these was instructional support tools, which were situated in the formal learning space through curriculum offered by programs or institutions. A participant describes this, for example, as a class they attend at their church every Sunday, in which volunteers teach them how to use everyday English words. Next were interconversational support tools. These were defined as support tools that individuals accessed or relied on in the midst of conversations to facilitate their exchange. As this participant reveals, when they first arrived to the United States, they only used their translational tool as an Another example of an interconversational support tool that participants revealed was the use of hands and mimicking in order to convey to their communication partner what they were trying to express. In this case, P14 describes using their hands to describe needing water if they don't know how to say it. Next were habitual support tools. These were the support tools that language learners frequently relied on as part of their daily lives in order to advance their language skills, and comprise things like podcasts, television shows, TV, and social media. Participant 5 reveals, for example, that they listen to a podcast and also that they like movies. Anticipatory support tools, however, were support tools that were accessed or requested in preparation for a conversational interaction. In this case, participant 14 reveals that before an interview, they text the person who will be interviewing them to ask if they could have the option of using text if they didn't understand something in order to translate it. We found that the anticipatory space was one in which there weren't many existing tools, but that was a space that was very valued for language learners as it allowed them to advocate for themselves. Finally, reflective support tools were accessed following a language interaction. In this case, participant 2 revealed that they used Google Translate, and after that, they would write in their notebook what they had translated. And this was a mechanism for them to try to retain what they had just translated from their conversation. Similarly to the anticipatory space, there weren't many existing tools in the reflective space, but we found that participants tried to create tools of their own to support themselves. Now, these support tools also presented a number of limitations. The first were capacity limitations. In the cases in which limited physical spaces and availability of facilitators inhibited access to a support tool. Participants also faced limited access to socialization, where lack of knowledge of or access to socialization opportunities prevented them from being able to engage. Third were failures in translational tools, where the inability to successfully use an existing translation tool led to a loss of understanding. And finally, the mistrust of translation devices, in which, in sensitive contexts, users did not place their trust or desire in wanting to use a translation tool. In order to gain a better understanding of what features English language learners wanted to see in future tools, we asked them what they envisioned as supportive in tools that they wanted to see. Participants revealed that they wanted convenience and ease of access, and gave examples such as wanting to be able to access them either on the phone, on Zoom, in person, and with quick and easy convenience. Participants also described the importance of socialization as a medium, and this was almost ubiquitous across all participants. The necessity for safe, social, and productive socialization spaces that were intentionally designed for English language learners. Finally, participants expressed the value and importance of immersion in contextual backdrop. In supplementing our understanding of English language learner needs beyond these Envision tools, we wanted to understand how participants define positive experiences, even outside of the tools they currently use. And this is what they revealed. The first of these was active empowerment. Active empowerment was demonstrated through affirming actions, words, or attitudes that a communication partner exhibited, which uplifted the English language learner's ability to participate. The second of these was social and group affirmation, which were exhibited through experiences in which English language learners felt a sense of inclusion with the person that they were speaking to or the group. And finally, was self-validation and affirmation, which is defined most ubiquitously as being part of what defined a positive experience for language learners. In these cases, the language learner either self-motivated themselves or felt an innermost feeling of wanting to continue contributing or progressing in the conversation. These findings have defined our design considerations, which we will discuss further, and have led us to think about what the implications of these findings are for further research and design for English language learners. One of our main takeaways is that the challenges in the informal language space are multidimensional and include socio-psychological and linguistic challenges, and that current tools do not incorporate these various dimensions in an interwoven fashion. We also found through this work that both social and technical approaches taken by researchers and designers should reflect the nuanced nature of this context, and that both designers and researchers in this space should engage more meaningfully with the informal context as there are numerous unexplored design opportunities. Finally, our reflections on our work in this space has revealed that external support tools alone may not be necessary or even appropriate approach in the face of certain challenges, and that approaches in this domain should aim to take a comprehensive approach that takes into consideration the needs and desires of the English language learner community that is being collaborated with. With these and other reflections, and an understanding of what participants define as positive experiences, what they envision as support tools that will be helpful in the future, we present the set of 8 design considerations for designers and researchers in the space of informal language learning. We present this set of 8 design considerations for designers and researchers in this context. The first is to incorporate affective and emotional support in the design of tools and platforms. Second, to design for language learners' contextual needs, lifestyle, and habits. Third, to design with expansive language building context in mind beyond just the instructional and intra-conversational contexts. Fourth, to design in ways that connect immediate language needs to long-term learning and goals. Fifth, to design support tools that incorporate social connectedness, as this was ubiquitously a gap that English language learners felt was not currently being filled. Sixth is to design for contextually situated and immersive experiences. Language learners revealed the nature in which being able to connect what they were learning to their daily lives was instrumental in their understanding of how to use their language. 7 is to design for a variety of mediums, input modes, and communication formats. And finally, to design to facilitate the signaling of public and private cues for support, as language learners often encounter situations in which they require help from their peers or the communication partner, but face the burden of having to explain the need for this support on their own. Thank you for listening to our talk on envisioning support center technologies for language practice and use, needs and design opportunities for immigrant language learners. And we welcome your communication in the future regarding this paper.